So whether you're a documentary filmmaker, you're filming weddings, a client video, or just your own YouTube videos, in this video we'll break down a few of my tips for getting plenty of B-roll in a short amount of time. Whether I'm editing my own videos or I'm working with an editor, I always want more B-roll. They always want more B-roll, more options to use in the story that they're trying to craft. So my first tip is to always think of shooting in threes. So for me, that typically ends up being 3 different lenses. Maybe it's a wide lens, a more of a portrait lens like a 50mm, and then a macro lens, a real close-up lens. But you can also do this with physical distance. You can use the same lens, let's say a 50mm, and you can be further away. You can move in a little closer, and then you can get really close to the subject. This enables you to, instead of having one long shot of someone doing something, you can actually cut 3 times, and it makes it more interesting to the person watching. A few other ways I like to think in threes are beginning, middle, and end. So I'll actually have someone do something 3 times, and I'll stand in 3 different locations, maybe even be zoomed to 3 different focal lengths, show them walking in, show them sitting down, and then show them opening the book. Thinking of the ways that it would work in the edit is really helpful while you're filming, just so you have more options and a way to have more texture in the story as you're kind of piecing it together. You can also think of morning, middle of the day, and then nighttime if you're doing an entire piece. So think about filming the exact same thing in different lighting conditions. That might show how much someone's dedicated to something. If you show someone playing basketball when the sun comes up, in the middle of the day, maybe at night with the street lights on, that'll just kind of tell your story in a different way, give you more texture to use in the video. And one more group of 3 to think of, I try to film the subject from the front, from the side, and from behind. Another tip when filming B-roll is I like to be handheld. I like to be extremely mobile. That means I don't use a tripod, a monopod, anything like that. Unless I'm doing something that's extremely planned out or it's not really documentary style, so we know we want to get 10 shots and we want them to look a very specific way, we've maybe storyboarded them and everything, maybe then I'll use those tools. But when I'm just filming run and gun, I want to be handheld. I want to be able to move around, get in the exact spot, move forward quickly, not have to move tripod legs around or fumble with some sort of equipment. So when I'm handheld, that means I'm usually using an image stabilized lens so that my footage isn't really shaky. I keep it close to my body. And if possible, I have a zoom lens just so I have a lot of options to be able to get wides, to get close-ups, macros, everything. You'll also want to think about if you actually want this footage to be in slow motion, that you're shooting in the proper frame rate. Now, some cameras, when you're shooting in slow motion, you don't get sound. So you have to have that in mind as well. Do you want to use some of the sound you're recording at the same time? Because if you do, then you might not want to shoot in slow motion. And one more tip, don't be afraid to have someone do something again. I know you're trying to shoot documentary style, you're trying not to interrupt what someone's doing, but if it's an important moment of a wedding day, like she's putting her dress on or putting a shoe on, or you want to film different stages of a process. For example, in this one, we had her chopping up vegetables, putting them into dishes. Maybe have her do those multiple times so you can play with different lighting scenarios, or you could play with different focal lengths. What are your favorite tips, or what do you do when you film your B-roll? Let us know in the comments below this video, and make sure to subscribe to the channel for more content just like this.